Discover the incredible love story. She revealed her heartwarming secrets to a hidden millionaire. Emma stood at the sink, her hands submerged in steaming, soapy water, scrubbing away the remnants of someone else's meal. She watched as families around her shared laughter and stories, the diner alive with warmth and chatter. Each giggle tugged at her heart, a heavy reminder of the life she wanted for her son, Noah. She was a single mother with dreams bigger than her small Midwestern town would allow. The weight of financial struggles loomed over her like dark clouds, yet she wore a smile, a fierce determination in her eyes. It was part of the armor she wore every day. "Mommy!" Noah's voice rang out, innocent and bright, as he bounded towards her. His energy was contagious, transforming her heavy heart into a flutter of hope. "Can I have a slice of pie?" He looked up at her with those big, wide eyes that made her melt. Emma rolled her eyes jokingly, suppressing a chuckle. He knew just how to charm her. "All right, but just a small piece this time." She had sacrificed so much for him, and those moments of joy were worth every bit of struggle. As the sun dipped below the horizon, transforming the diner's exterior into a canvas of oranges and pinks, Emma found herself organizing a charity event for the local shelter. It was a cause close to her heart. Many of her fellow waitresses had stories of sudden loss and hardship. While putting up decorations, she felt the gentle presence of someone approaching. It was Jack, a reclusive millionaire who largely stayed out of the public eye of their tight-knit community. Jack was unlike anyone Emma had ever met, despite standing on the edge of his opulent past. He watched her, captivated by her passion as she spoke about her dreams. With each story she shared, crack after crack formed in the armor he wore so carefully. There was sincerity in her voice, a warmth that showed he had been missing something deeper than wealth could offer. Their connection blossomed between laughter and shared dreams, but it wasn't tea without its trials. The town buzzed with whispers. What does she see in him? Can they really be together? The dynamics of love and privilege were laid bare like an exposed nerve, making both Emma and Jack question what they were truly willing to sacrifice. Then came the moment that tested Emma's resolve. Noah fell ill, his tiny body burning with fever. Panic clawed at her chest, the world feeling as though it was collapsing around her. In her darkest hour, the community rallied around her, and yet Emma battled with a difficult choice: accept Jack's help or push forward on her own. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With the weight of the world on her shoulders, Emma turned to see Jack standing there, grappling with his own guilt and desire. The town's unspoken judgment loomed between them, heavy as the night air. Would their two worlds collide? Would love prevail over the stark realities of their differences? As she stood at the diner's stained window, heart racing, the answers were as elusive as the sunset fading into the night. The air was thick with questions, the future uncertain, but one thing was clear: something had shifted. A storm was brewing, and their lives would never be the same again. Emma's heart raced as she felt Jack's eyes on her. It was as if the world around them had faded away, leaving just the two of them in that crowded diner. There were so many things unsaid, things that hung in the air between them like the sweet aroma of coffee mingled with the greasy scent of fries. Jack stepped closer, his voice low and sincere. "Emma, I don't want to overstep, but I can help." The concern written across his face tugged at her heart even more. For a moment, the chaos of the diner disappeared, and all she could hear was the rapid beat of her own heart, and the faint sound of Noah's laughter in the background. It felt like her life had narrowed to this one pivotal choice. "I can't," she stammered, looking into his eyes. "You don't understand. Noah and I have battled so much already." The thought of relying on someone else, especially someone with Jack's background, felt foreign and daunting. Yet there was a flicker of hope deep within her. Jack took a deep breath as if preparing to unveil a part of himself he had kept hidden. I do understand, Emma. Growing up in a world of privilege doesn't mean I haven't faced my own battles. What I can offer is an allyship, not a handout. If I'm going to be in your life, I want to be there for both of you, to fight for you, not take away your strength. His words wrapped around her like a warm blanket. She wanted to believe him. But the fear, the constant panic tinged with the weight of responsibility, gripped her throat like a vice. Noah needed healing, and it was all she could do to keep him afloat. The very thought of involving Jack felt like playing with fire. I appreciate that, I really do, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. But you don't know what it's like for me. I can't risk Noah seeing me depending on someone else. I promised him that I'd always be there for him. Jack nodded slowly, his features softening. You are there for him, Emma. And sometimes, being strong means allowing others to help you carry the load. Those words hit her hard. She thought about the many nights spent alone, dragging herself out of bed after worrying about bills or wondering how to bring joy to Noah's life. Jack's voice echoed in her mind in sync with the laughter that surrounded them. Did accepting help mean weakness? A familiar warmth spread through her, not just from his words but from the sense of connection she felt with him. Between the chaos of her world and Jack's was a bridge that swayed uncertainly, but in that moment she could see it. Just then, Noah came running into the diner, his cheeks flushed and his hands sticky from pie. Mommy! Look what I did! He held up a small piece of paper drawn with crayons. It was a child's rendition of their home, complete with a big yellow sun shining down on a smiling stick-figure family. Emma took it, her heart swelling. Jack watched them, and Emma could see the way his eyes softened at Noah's innocence. That's beautiful, he said, kneeling down to be eye level with Noah. You've really captured the spirit of your family. Noah's smile broadened, proud and innocent. As the moments dragged on, amusement filled the space, lightening the weight that had accompanied her thoughts. But deep down, the tension remained. Could she open up enough to allow someone into her life and Noah's? They all sat together at the booth, laughter mingling with a growing sense of hope. Yet, Emma couldn't shake the heavy feeling in her gut. A surge of resolve washed over her. Jack, if we're going to do this, you need to know something, she began, feeling the resolve set in her voice. She caught Noah's gaze, and she realized she had to choose the right path not just for herself but for him. As she spoke, all the lightheartedness faded, replaced by seriousness. There are things about my past you don't know. Things that could change everything. Jack's eyes widened slightly, filled with curiosity but also concern. The air thickened with anticipation. What was she about to reveal that could shake the foundation of what they had just begun to build? Emma took a deep breath. And as she opened her mouth to share her truth, she could feel the storm outside matching the turbulence inside her heart. Emma took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her secret pressing down on her chest. The diner buzzed around them, but all she could focus on was Jack, his gaze fixed on her with a mix of curiosity and genuine concern. She could feel Noah's small hand resting on her arm, a comforting gesture that reminded her that her son's well-being was the priority. Before we met, she began, her voice trembling slightly, I had a different life. A life I fought hard to leave behind. She glanced at Noah, who was absorbed in his crayon masterpiece, blissfully unaware of the gravity of the moment. I was in a situation that, well, it was safe. Jack leaned in, his expression almost fierce with intensity. What do you mean? Was someone hurting you? The question sent a ripple of emotion through Emma. Not in the way you might think. It was more about control manipulation. I lived with someone who made me feel small, trapped. The memories flashed through her mind like a disjointed film reel, arguments that spiraled out of control, doors getting slammed, and the heavy silence that followed. Emma, Jack said softly, reaching out to touch her hand. The warmth of his palm intertwined with her panic, grounding her as she found the courage to continue. That sounds awful. You got out. That's what matters. Yeah, she said, a sad smile forming despite herself. But it's not that simple. When I left, I took Noah and went into survival mode. I've spent every day trying to keep him safe, to create a stable life for us. I've had to be both mother and father, protector and provider. So you won't let anyone in, Jack said, almost to himself. His voice was quiet, but she could hear the understanding in it. It's not that I don't want help, Jack. I do. But Emma's voice caught. What if I let you in and it all falls apart? What if I'm not strong enough? What if Noah gets hurt? Jack's eyes softened, and he leaned back slightly, letting her words settle between them. Emma, no one is strong all the time. Strength isn't just about holding it all together, it's also about knowing when to ask for support. You've been through so much alone. A tear slipped down her cheek, unexpected but cathartic. She blinked it away. I've built walls, Jack. It's easier to hide. For so long, I believed being vulnerable would make me weak. I can't let Noah down. He needs me. He deserves a better life. Jack looked at her with admiration that sent new warmth through her chest, but the heaviness still lingered. Emma, if you let me, I can be a part of that better life. I don't want to take over. I want to support you, to fill the gaps where you need help, he said earnestly. You don't know what you're asking for, she replied. The instinct to retreat kicked in again, but something in his earnest gaze made her pause. No, I don't. But what I do know is that you're trying to do it all on your own, and it's costing you. Letting someone in doesn't mean you're weak. It can actually be a sign of incredible strength. Noah looked up, sensing the change in atmosphere. Mommy, can we go home soon? I want to show you my picture in better light. Of course, buddy, Emma replied, her heart warming at his eager smile, but it was quiet nostalgia that stung her as Jack rose from the booth. Let us work on this together. Jack's voice was clear, steady, and sure. Something shifted in Emma. The tension in her chest remained, but a sense of possibility flickered there too. As Noah tugged her arm, leading her toward the door, Emma glanced back at Jack. You have no idea what you're getting into, she said softly, a mix of gratitude and fear washing over her. He smiled gently. I think I might just want to find out. With that, they stepped back into the stormy evening, the air heavy with unspoken promises and the weight of the unknown. Emma could feel the swirling emotions within her, hope entwined with uncertainty. What had she just agreed to? And was she ready to confront the shadows of her past once and for all? The rain poured down in thick sheets as Emma and Noah made their way to the car. The world outside blurred into a watery mess, mirroring the turmoil inside her. Noah's small voice cut through the sound of the rain as he happily chattered about his day, unaware of the weight of the conversation they'd just had. Mommy, did you see how I made the sun look so bright? I used yellow and orange. And look, that's you and me by the big tree. His eyes sparkled with pride as he pointed to his crayon creation, and Emma couldn't help but smile, even as fear gnawed at her insides. Wow, buddy, it's beautiful. Just like you, she replied, ruffling his hair. Her heart swelled with love, but beneath that warmth was an icy tendril of anxiety. As they settled into the car, she stared blankly at the steering wheel. What was she doing? Jack's words echoed in her head. Letting someone in isn't weak. But could she truly risk Noah's safety again? What if letting Jack in meant opening up a wound she had worked so hard to heal? Mommy? Noah's voice drew her attention back. Are we going to see Mr. Jack again? The innocence in his question tugged at her heart. She didn't want to shield him from the world, but she also didn't want to expose him to possible danger. I don't know, sweetheart, she replied, the words tasting bitter. They drove in silence, the only sound being the rhythmic patter of rain against the windshield. Emma's mind raced. What if Jack truly was different? What if he could help her carry the burden she had been hoarding for so long? But the memories came rushing back, nights spent shivering in fear and days that bled into nights where she'd been trapped. They suffocated her, feeding her doubts. The thought of trusting Jack, of risking Noah's heart, felt like teetering on a knife's edge. As they arrived home, Noah jumped out of the car, his excitement still bubbling. Race you to the door, he yelled, darting toward the house. Seeing his carefree spirit made Emma's heart ache and swell all at once. Inside, the warmth of their small living room wrapped around them, but Emma felt cold. She watched Noah busy himself with his picture, the crayons and paper strewn about like a flurry of hope. A vision of their bright future battled against the shadows of her past. "Mommy, look! I put hearts in our tree!" Noah held up the paper proudly, and Emma felt the corners of her mouth lift. "Yes, love. It's perfect," she said, her voice softening. But even as she praised him, a question gnawed at her: was it right to let Jack in? What if he learned about her history? What if Noah got attached and things fell apart? Later that night, while Noah slept soundly, Emma stared at the ceiling, her mind racing. The glow from the bedside lamp cast shadows around the room, and in those shadows lurked memories she couldn't shake. What could Jack truly offer? Companionship? Safety? Understanding? Or would he become another reminder of everything she had fought to escape? Emma reached for her phone, her fingers hovering over Jack's contact. She needed to know more about him, to understand if he was worth the risk. Against her instincts, she felt a flicker of hope. A code she hadn't dared to crack began to tantalize her. But just as she was about to hit call, the doorbell rang, echoing chill through the stillness of the night. It sent her heart racing. Who could it be at this hour? She crept to the door, the shadows stretching before her. Peering through the peephole, her heart sank. It was Jack. Could she face him now? And what would she say? Emma's heart pounded in her chest, a cacophony of fear and hope. She pressed her palm against the cool door, taking a deep breath. The rain drummed insistently on the roof above, a reminder that life continued outside her carefully constructed bubble. "Emma?" Jack's voice broke through the storm. "I know you're in there. Can we talk?" There was an anxious urgency in his tone that stirred something inside her. She glanced back at Noah, sleeping soundly, blissfully unaware of the tension crackling in the air. Her hand trembled as she considered her options. Should she let him in? What if he brought more danger? Or what if he was the safe presence she longed for? She pressed her forehead against the door for a moment, trying to center herself, to quiet the storm inside. "Emma?" Jack's voice was softer now, tinged with concern. "Please, I just want to talk. I promise I won't push." The sincerity in his voice pulled at her heart. She could feel the weight of her decisions pressing against her chest, but underneath it, a seed of hope began to sprout. Sometimes, when the storm was the worst, the most beautiful rainbows emerged. She opened the door a crack, peeking through the gap. Jack stood drenched, his hair plastered to his forehead, his eyes wide and pleading. He was still the man who had brought joy and laughter back into her life, even if only for a moment. "Can I come in?" he asked, gentle and steady. After a heartbeat, she opened the door wider, stepping aside. "Just for a minute," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the rain. Jack stepped inside, shaking off his umbrella and running a hand through his wet hair. He looked around their cozy home, taking in the scattered crayons and drawings. "You have a lovely place," he said, casting a soft smile. "Noah should be proud." Emma felt a warmth creep into her chest. "He is. Thank you." There was an awkward silence that settled between them, both of them seemingly searching for the right words. Finally, Jack broke it. "I'm sorry about earlier. I didn't mean to push." Emma's heart softened at his sincerity. "It's just I don't know if I can do this. Letting someone in feels terrifying." "I get that," he replied, stepping closer, his voice dropping to a nearly whisper. "But you're not alone. You have Noah. You have me, if you want me." A lump formed in her throat. She wanted to scream yes, to reach out and hold on to the possibility he represented. Yet the shadows of her past loomed large. "What if I get it wrong?" she asked, her voice cracking. "What if you don't?" Jack countered gently, his gaze unwavering. "You deserve happiness, Emma. You deserve a chance." Her heart raced at his words. Was she really ready for this? Emma could feel the walls of her past shaking, but didn't they also have to come down someday? Before she could respond, Jack took a step back, his hands raised slightly in a placating gesture. Look, I know this is a lot. I just want to understand. Can you tell me what you're afraid of? For a moment, Emma hesitated, weighing the truth on her lips. The weight of her secrets felt heavy yet freeing. She glanced back toward Noah's room, then met Jack's eyes. I've fought so hard to protect him, she confessed, tears pricking her eyes. What if I let you in and it all falls apart? What if trusting you endangers him? Jack's expression softened, understanding washing over his features. Then let us work together to make sure that doesn't happen. I may not have all the answers, but I'll stand by you. You won't have to face it alone. Hope flickered, but the fear lingered. Emma swallowed hard, her heart a whirlwind of emotions. Could she take that leap of faith? Was there a chance that trusting him could lead not just to pain, but to healing? As she stood there, caught in the web of her emotions, another part of her began to awaken, the part that wanted to believe in the possibility of love, of support, of a future that might not be perfect but could be beautiful in its own right. Emma? Jack's voice broke through her thoughts, coaxing her back to the moment. This time, she knew she had to respond. But when she opened her mouth, the ringing of her phone cut through the air, jolting both of them. It was an unknown number. Emma's stomach dropped. Who could it be? Should I get it? She wondered aloud, but the intense look in Jack's eyes suggested she might not want to answer. Should she let an unknown call change everything again? The tension hung thick in the room, and the choice lay before her, shimmering with promise and peril. Emma stared at her phone, the screen glowing ominously in the dim light of the living room. Her heart raced, anticipation and dread mingling in her chest. It felt as if the world stood still, the incessant rain outside morphing into a low hum, echoing the turmoil within her. Jack shifted slightly, his expression thoughtful and concerned. You don't have to answer it, he said quietly, as if sensing the weight of the decision coursing through her. We can talk about anything else. About Noah. About us. She glanced at him, that flicker of hope igniting again, momentarily distracting her from the source of her anxiety. But the phone continued to ring, as if daring her to engage with whatever lay on the other end. A part of me wants to ignore it, she admitted, her fingers twitching nervously at her side. But what if it's important? What if it's news about? Trailing off, she drew a breath. Emotions swirled as she thought of her past, of the threats that haunted her like shadows. Jack stepped closer, empathy etched in his features. Then answer it. I'll be right here. I won't let anything happen to you. The sincerity in his voice lent her courage, and with trembling hands she finally swiped the green button. Hello? For a few moments silence filled the air, a stark contrast to the storm outside. Just as she was about to hang up, a voice crackled through the line, familiar yet distant. Emma? It's me. It's Mark. Her blood ran cold. The name echoed in her ears, conjuring memories she had fought hard to bury. Anger and fear resurfaced quickly. Mark? She couldn't help but exclaim, her heartbeat quickening. What do you want? Please, just hear me out. He pleaded, frustration lacing his tone. I know I've messed up, but I need to talk to you. It's important. Important? The word left her lips like a venomous dart. What could you possibly have to say that I care about? I'm still your brother, Emma. Whatever happened back then. It's not what you think. I've changed. His words, woven through with desperation, twisted something in her gut. A flood of memories washed over her, of the loveless years spent in a haze of anger and betrayal. It doesn't change anything, she said, steeling herself. You hurt me. You hurt Noah. We're done. I'm done with you. Jack watched her, a mixture of concern and protection in his eyes. Emma, Mark's voice was sharper, cutting through her defenses like a knife. You don't understand. I'm in trouble. I need your help. The air shifted around her as Jack stepped forward. Maybe you should hang up, he suggested softly. The resolve in his tone ignited a flicker of strength inside her. But then Mark continued, I can't talk about it on the phone. You have to trust me this one last time. I promise, if you just meet me, I want to meet you. She felt the anger roiling inside, fueled by years of scars. You lost that chance the day you chose to betray us. Emma, please. You have to believe me. Time is running out. They're coming for me. Her heart sank. The weight of his words wrapped around her like ice, squeezing tight. They? Who's coming for you? Jack's eyes widened, sensing the danger her brother had brought into their lives, even in this distant call. It doesn't matter right now, Mark insisted, his voice rising. What matters is you. I'm done with you. She yelled, slamming her finger down on the end button, cutting him off. Emma dropped the phone onto the couch, her breaths coming fast and hot. Jack placed a steady hand on her shoulder, grounding her. Emma, are you okay? We can figure this out together. You don't have to face this alone. Her mind raced. The fear that had pestered her for so long returned, but beneath it seethed rage and a newfound urgency. Trusting Jack felt like a risk, but holding on to the past felt like a ticking time bomb. Jack, what if he is telling the truth? What if there really are people after him? After us? The question lingered, heavy and unbearable. We'll face this together, he insisted, his grip tightening slightly as if to emphasize his commitment. Whatever comes next, we'll tackle it side by side. Emma took a deep breath, feeling the battle between fear and hope raging inside. Could she embrace the unknown with him by her side? The shadows were closing in, and she sensed that the choice she made would alter everything. Okay, she finally whispered, though uncertainty fluttered within her. Okay. Just then, the door creaked ominously as the wind battered against it, a jarring reminder that the storm outside was nothing compared to what lay ahead. Emma? Jack's voice was low, almost a murmur. Whatever is coming, we need to be ready. But as she glanced over her shoulder toward Noah's room, questions loomed like a thick fog. What if this surge of danger turned their fragile lives upside down again? And just then, as if the universe was echoing her thoughts, a low thud resounded from the area near the door, sending a jolt of fear racing through her veins. What had they walked into now? Emma's heart raced. Among the chaos, one thought clung to her mind: could they really escape the storm, or was the worst still to come? The door rattled violently, a sudden gust of wind sending a shiver through Emma's bones. She exchanged a knowing glance with Jack, an unspoken agreement passing between them. Fear prickled at the edges of her consciousness, yet that flicker of hope remained, glowing faintly in the shadows. Should we check it out? Jack whispered, his eyes narrowed with determination. Emma hesitated, a flurry of thoughts overwhelming her. Noah was just down the hall, blissfully unaware of the dark clouds gathering at their door. What if it's someone, or something? She stammered, clutching her hands tightly against her heart. We have to be brave, he urged, taking a step toward the door. Together. Taking a deep breath, Emma followed him. Their cautious movements echoed in the silence, the rain continuing to dance against the roof in a haunting melody. With each step, her heart thumped loudly in her chest, anchoring her to the present moment. Jack moved ahead, a shield against whatever lay beyond, and she felt an odd comfort in that. On 3? He mouthed, counting down silently with his fingers. Emma nodded, swallowed hard, and steeled herself. Something about the tone of Mark's voice still gnawed at her. It was laden with fear, a fear that now seemed real, tangible as the storm. 3. Jack flew the door open, revealing the darkened porch bathed in the eerie glow of streetlights, their light flickering like an unreliable beacon. The wind roared past them, swirling leaves into a chaotic dance. At first, she saw nothing, then she spotted a figure lurking near the side of their house, wrapped in shadows but unmistakably human. Who's there? Jack demanded, his voice steady but still tinged with caution. Emma? The voice cut through the wind like a knife. Emma's breath hitched. Even from a distance, she recognized that voice, one that haunted her dreams and her memories. Mark stepped forward, his face partly illuminated, revealing eyes that shimmered with desperation. He looked older, more haggard than she remembered, but the familiar features were unmistakable. "Mark, what are you doing here?" She backed up instinctively, her body frozen between fear and loathing. "Please," he gasped, stepping into the light despite the pouring rain. "I had nowhere else to go. You have to believe me when I say I'm in danger." Jack stepped closer to Emma, an arm around her waist, creating a barrier that made Emma feel both protected and vulnerable. "How do we know this isn't some kind of trick?" he questioned, voice low and demanding. "Because I would never come back unless I had to. They're coming for me," and Mark broke off, panting as anxiety washed over his features. "I'm not just running from my past anymore. It's worse than you think." "What do you mean?" Emma took a cautious step forward, curiosity battling her instincts to flee. "I can't explain it all here. We're not safe out in the open." His gaze darted nervously over his shoulder. "Please, just listen. We need to talk away from here." "No!" Jack interjected, shaking his head. "You expect us to trust you after everything? You think just because you show up drenched in rain, we would drop everything and run?" "Jack, wait," Emma whispered. She felt a deep urge to understand, a pull toward the brother she thought was lost forever. "Please! I can't do this without you. I need your help, both of you." Mark's voice cracked, desperation palpable. Emma looked into his wild eyes, memories of their childhood flashing through her mind, the fun times overshadowed by the betrayal that ripped them apart. But the fear radiating off him was genuine, and it ignited her curiosity once again. "Okay, if you're telling the truth, then explain." "We've only got a moment," she gestured anxiously toward the door, feeling overwhelmed by the pounding in her chest. Mark nodded, steeling himself. "They're a group after me, dangerous people. I made mistakes, yes. But I found something that changes everything. And they want to silence me for it." Jack's protective hold intensified, but Emma felt a flicker of hope. If there was something out there, something that could potentially turn the tide for them, was it worth the risk? She didn't know if she could trust him. Yet, in that moment, the distance between them began to feel surmountable. "Tell us everything," Emma demanded softly, clenching her jaw as she struggled to pierce through the web of past betrayals and fears. And just as Mark opened his mouth to speak, a scream piercing and raw erupted from the shadows around the house. Emma's heart leaped into her throat. What had they stumbled into now? The scream echoed, a chilling sound that wrapped around Emma and Jack like a thick fog. Mark's face turned ashen, his eyes wide with fright. "We need to get inside," he urged, urgency threading through his voice. Not waiting for an answer, he dashed toward the door, a wild look in his eye. Emma felt the pull of fear weave itself into her chest. She glanced at Jack, who tightened his grip, his protective instincts kicking in stronger than ever. "What was that?" he breathed, panic creeping in. "I don't know, but we can't stay out here," Emma replied, trying to sound more confident than she felt. They stepped back into the house, the wood creaking under their weight, as if protesting the suddenness of their situation. Mark had already bolted the door, his hands trembling as he did so. "Listen, you have to believe me. They're close. I saw them. I saw their car parked a few blocks down," he said, his voice shaky but intense. Emma's heart raced. The sense of safety that her home usually provided felt like it was slipping through her fingers. "Who are they? What do they want from you?" she demanded, trying to pierce through the layers of his cryptic statement. "I can't say everything now," he replied, glancing nervously at the windows, fear flaring in his eyes. "But I have something important, something that could change everything for you too. It's bigger than just my past. They want to bury the truth." Jack shook his head. "Just stop. You're asking us to trust you with our lives, and all you give us are riddles. And now they're screaming outside? How do you expect us to feel safe?" Emma felt the tension hanging palpably in the air. Her heart ached at the sight of both men, one consumed by an unshakable dread, the other holding tightly to raw skepticism. "Jack, please," she murmured. "Emma, we don't know him. What if this is all just a trap?" he snapped, anxiety traced in the edges of his voice. I can't explain everything right now, but I swear I'd never put you in danger deliberately. Mark pleaded, desperation cracking through his voice. But what I've found, it could put an end to all this, the danger, the darkness surrounding us. But I need your help first. What could possibly be that important? Jack's voice was low, eyes narrowed as he studied Mark carefully. Emma stepped closer to Mark, the flicker of familiarity wrestling with the pain of betrayal from so long ago. You said you found something. What is it? Documents, evidence, things the world needs to know, Mark said breathlessly, his hands trembling with urgency. But if they catch me, I can't get it out. I need you both to help me hide and get the truth out. Out of desperation and curiosity, Emma felt herself drawn into Mark's panicked world. Jack seemed torn, his instincts to protect clashing with Emma's budding hope that maybe this was the moment for redemption. Suddenly, another scream shattered the air, louder this time. We have to make a plan, Emma said, urgent, pulling both men close. We need to think. If we stay locked up here, we might miss our chance to act. What are you suggesting? Jack asked, looking back at her, uncertainty threading his tone. We can't let fear control us. We need to figure out what he knows, and we need to do it now. Otherwise, another shriek pierced the air outside, but this one was different. It was closer. Emma felt a chill run down her spine as realization dawned on her. It wasn't just a desperate cry, this was a warning. Emma, Mark whispered, his eyes darting to the window. They're here. We don't have much time. Her heart pounded as adrenaline surged. What awaited them outside? Could they really face what was coming? Emma took a deep breath and felt the flicker of determination reigniting within her. Then let us end this, once and for all, Emma said, fear mixing with a newfound resolve as she positioned herself in front of the door. But just as they braced themselves for the storm that was about to erupt, a shadow moved past the window, lingering for just a moment. They all held their breath, realizing they were about to uncover more than they ever bargained for. What would they do when faced with the real threat that was closing in? Emma squeezed her fists as she steadied herself, ready to confront whatever darkness awaited them. The darkness outside grew thicker, pressing against the wind of their fears. Emma's heart thudded loudly in her chest. Each fleeting moment stretched, like a taut string ready to snap. Jack's grip on her tightened further, his warmth offering some semblance of safety amidst the encroaching panic. Mark's eyes searched the gloom outside, filled with a restless urgency. What do we do? Jack spoke, keeping his voice low, raw with tension. First, we can't let them see us, Mark murmured, falling back into the shadows. If they catch a glimpse of us, it's over. Emma felt her breath hitch as she stole a glance outside. The dim glow of a car's headlights swept across the front lawn. Shadowy figures lingered near the vehicle. They were waiting. Waiting for something or someone. Trust began to waver, just like her resolve. What do we even know about them? She whispered. Mark swallowed hard. They're not just anyone. I've seen their faces before. They're involved in some dangerous business dealing with things I can't explain without putting you in more danger. Can't explain? Now's not the time for secrets. Jack snapped, frustration pouring out. His voice trembled slightly, edging on panic. You brought us into this mess. I get it, okay? I don't want you involved in this. But you already are. Mark countered, his voice rising. And if we don't act fast, we're all going to pay for it. Emma's thoughts raced. This wasn't just Mark's problem anymore. It was theirs, her entire life spinning precariously on a thread. We need to make a distraction, she said suddenly, clarity cutting through the fog of fear. Get the upper hand. Jack looked at her, a mix of disbelief and pride in his expression. And how do you suggest we do that? We're trapped. Maybe we can set off the car alarm, or she started, but Mark interrupted, frustration flashing across his face. No! He hissed. It'll draw the wrong kind of attention. We need to keep a low profile. Think of something that draws them in without letting them find us. A thought struck Emma. The back door. We could make noise, lure them to the other side of the house. Just for a moment, And then what? Jack replied, worry lining his brow. Then we get to the garage and drive out. It might be our only chance. Jack glanced around, calculating the risk. The shadows outside moved closer, whispering threats of what awaited them if they stayed frozen. How do we do this? Emma felt a surge of determination. I'll go to the kitchen and throw something out the back. You two stay here. As soon as they move, you follow me. Mark, you lead the way. Okay, Mark said, nodding hesitantly. But we have to stick together. Of course, Emma replied, brief confidence sparking despite the anxiety. The adrenaline pumped through her, tightening her chest as if powering her determination. With a quick nod, she slipped back through the living room to the kitchen, her heart pounding with each step. As she reached for a heavy can from the pantry, she heard voices outside. Low, menacing tones that made the hairs on her arms stand on end. They were close. Too close. Emma, be careful. Jack's voice came from behind her, filled with a warning she couldn't ignore. Trembling, she steadied herself and looked back. The figures began to move toward the front door. Now! She whispered, and hurled the can into the backyard. The loud crash sounded like thunder in the silence of the night. Instantly, footsteps shifted. Go! Now! She shouted, adrenaline fueling every word. Moments felt like hours as Jack and Mark darted past her, their fate tied to her reckless plan. But just as they reached the back door, a chilling sound reached their ears, a sharp crack, like splitting wood, as they realized the danger wasn't just outside. Something shifted overhead. What was that? Mark stumbled, panic flooding his features. The ceiling began to rumble, dust raining down in thick clouds, shaping a monstrous shadow above them. Emma's heart skipped. Run! What had they unleashed? As they fled into the night, Emma felt fear intertwined with desperation. They weren't just running from the shadows. They might be running right into an even greater threat. Would they survive the truth that awaited them? The chill of the night wrapped itself around Emma like a heavy shroud as they sprinted into the chaos. Heart racing, she couldn't help but wonder if they were running into the very danger they sought to escape. The darkness loomed, thick and oppressive, but a flicker of determination surged within her. The three of them lunged past the rickety garage door, fumbling for the keys that could set them free. Jack was breathing heavily, his sharp gazes darting around, while Mark's face shone with a mix of fear and resolve. Do you have them? Emma gasped, her heart pounding in her throat. Yes, Mark shouted, as he turned to the garage door, fumbling with the lock. Just give me a sec. Simon, Emma urged, glancing back toward the house where shadows danced across the windows. They were close, too close. A sinking dread began to gnaw at her insides as if the reality of their situation was closing in like an inescapable fog. Finally, with a loud click, the door swung open. Emma felt the sharp sting of adrenaline forcing her forward as she followed them inside. The dim light barely revealed dusty tools and a cluttered workbench, remnants of days gone by. Get in! Jack whispered urgently, a fierce protector against the impending threat. They piled into the car, heartbeats echoing like a war drum. Mark struggled to hotwire the ignition, sweat bathing his brow. This better work. He muttered fiercely. Just do it! Emma barked, eyes flicking to the shadows just beyond the garage. With a jolt, the engine roared to life, a sound that felt both like salvation and a siren call. Mark threw it into gear, and Jack jumped in the passenger seat, taking a quick glance back. We don't have much time. Go, go, go! Emma urged, her heart in her throat. Mark slammed the car into reverse, tires spinning on gravel. Shadows loomed ever closer. Their figures moved like ghosts, bringing an icy dread that seeped through her bones. Just as they smashed through the driveway, a flickering light cut through the darkness, illuminating their path. Emma turned, witnessing a figure in the headlights, momentarily frozen in fear. Don't stop! She cried, clutching the back of Mark's seat. With a surge of speed, they streaked into the night, leaving their home and the shadows of the past behind. But as the adrenaline began to fade, uncertainty gripped her heart. What now? She rasped, a lump in her throat. We need to lay low, Mark said, focusing intently on the road ahead. Find somewhere safe. Jack turned in his seat, concern painted across his face. And what about them? Who are we even running from? Those people outside, they could be a threat to all of us. Let me explain, Mark urged, his voice rising above the hum of uncertainty. The people after me are part of something bigger, something dangerous. But I have something they want, and if they find us, they won't hesitate to hurt us all. Emma's heart sank at the fear reflected in his eyes. What do you mean? What do you have? It documents a whole underground network of corruption. If exposed, it could change everything, Mark explained, his tension sharp in the air. Then we have to get those documents hidden, Jack interjected, staring fiercely at Mark. We can't let them fall into the wrong hands. Exactly, Mark said, urgency deepening his voice. But we need a plan. We can't just run recklessly. An uneasy silence filled the car as Emma thought of Noah, sleeping soundly and unaware of the storm that had just swept into their lives. I can't let this bring him into danger, she whispered, almost to herself. She felt hollow and heavy as shadows flickered in her mind. We will keep him safe, Jack stated resolutely, his hand instinctively finding Emma's arm, grounding her. Yeah, and if we can't figure this out together, we'll always find a way to get him out, Mark added, the sincerity in his voice palpable. Emma looked out the window, watching how the world flew by in a streak of darkness and fleeting lights. She felt the fear bubble deep inside her, but something else began to spark to a determination to protect her son at all costs. Okay, she said, her voice steady despite the turmoil. We need a safe place to hide and figure this all out. Without my son, I wouldn't even be here. What about the old cabin up north? Jack suggested suddenly. We can go there. It's secluded, and no one knows it like we do. Perfect, Mark nodded, urgency seeping back into his tone. Let us do it. With direction set, the car shot down the winding road, headlights illuminating the path as they sped toward what could be their last chance at safety. Emma's heart fluttered nervously, but she felt the burgeoning seed of hope begin to blossom. Maybe they could face the storm together after all. As they arrived at the cabin, Emma felt a swell of nostalgia. This was a place filled with laughter and warmth, a stark contrast to the chaos they now faced. We need to act fast, she urged. Let us get inside and make a plan. One thing was clear, there was much to confront still, and each moment felt like a step toward the unknown. But the darkness wouldn't win, not if they united. It had taken everything from Emma, but in her heart, love blended with resolve. As they briskly maneuvered inside the cabin, Emma could feel that perhaps they would emerge from the storm not just as survivors, but as a family strengthened by adversity. And in the chorus of crashing waves and howling winds, she heard the promise in Jack's words. Against overwhelming odds, they were not alone. Together, they whispered in unison, standing united at the threshold of an uncertain future, ready to transform whatever awaited them into something beautiful. And it was in that final moment, standing cheek to cheek with the echoes of their past and looked toward their hopeful future, that Emma nodded to Jack, her heart guiding her next step. But would it lead them to safety, or deeper into the darkness? Only time would tell. Now we need your support. If this story touched your heart, you need to subscribe, immediately, to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive tales. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your love for these stories. And comment your reactions and feelings about the ending below. Let us hear your thoughts. Don't wait not even one more second to share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Your support is vital. Only true fans understand the importance of lifting this channel up.